Late on Wednesday, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz announced the very latest phase in the reopening of the state in the midst of this pandemic. New June 1st guidelines fell short of what some were hoping for. We talked with Republican Representative Sandy Layman of Cohassett about the update from the governor.
I am pleased, obviously, that the governor is continuing on a positive path of safely reopening the state. I don't envy him his job. It's a tough one, and I'd like to see a few more movements to turning the dial than maybe he's doing. But I'm pleased to see that the restaurants will be able to have outdoor dining. Of course, that doesn't work for every restaurant, and not everybody, especially in Minnesota. We're not outdoors more than 3 or 4 months out of the year. So it will work for a few. I'm afraid that some restaurants will not make it. We've seen many restaurants close already, not just in greater Minnesota, but in the Twin Cities. My goodness, some of our popular favorite restaurants just are not making it. So, it's just this careful balancing act between our health care, our mental health, and our economic health. And I think that some of us would like to see a little more attention paid to the economic and the mental health, as well as, really watching the COVID situation. But the other thing I'm concerned about, I'm hearing from our churches so much. And from what I heard with the latest announcement from the governor, is that churches still can't open. And even in the next phase, they'll be limited to outdoor gatherings of 10. Even when restaurants will be open to having a small number indoors, churches will still be limited to outdoors. So he was questioned about that in a press conference that he had. And I think I heard from him a little hesitancy that he's going to look at that a little bit. But there's some areas like that that I think as a legislator, we'd like to have a little more input. We're so close to our communities, especially in the House of Representatives. We're kind of the people's house. We feel like we have a really good sense of where our people are. Boy, we sure hear from them. And we'd like to be able to share that on a more regular basis with the governor.
And speaking of your constituents, what are you hearing from the local business owners in your district as far as what they're getting back as far as the opening, and what would they like to see?
Well, they would like to, I'm in a tourist area, as you are. And so I've especially been hearing from campgrounds. So I think the campgrounds are happy because campgrounds can be open with some limitations with this latest turn of the dial. They would like to be open for Memorial Weekend. Some of the campgrounds, that's their biggest, opening. And once they miss those visitors, they might, the campers will find other places to go. So, happily that June 1st campgrounds will be open. But I'm hearing quite a bit from the people that rely on the tourist industry because they wait all year long for this. This is their revenue generating period, and it's only about 13 weeks. So they're very anxious. Resorts are happy that they can be open. Looks like now if they have some outdoor seating, they can probably do that as well, so they can have some congregate events, which are all part of the resort experience. But I'm really happy about the campgrounds. I also understand that charter boats will be able to, so further north from us, quite a bit, and even south from us in the Mille Lacs area, work a lot with charter boats. I think our retailers are very happy. They've been really suffering. Our small mom and pop retailers that have seen their larger competition be open through all of this. I'm hearing that Target is going gangbusters. They're just, earning record revenues, as you can imagine, because people are having to go to, where they can. So I think our small retailers, they're slowly opening, and they're doing it with safeguards. I just had my oil changed, and the fellows at the counter had the plastic guard, between the customers and them. And I think we're going to see that's going to be kind of the standard protocol in our small businesses.
Now, of course, the legislative session, the regular session just wrapped up. Talk a little bit about what you think some of the accomplishments were this legislative session.
Well, I think that this was the pandemic session. This was unbelievable. Um, I have to say one of the biggest accomplishments was in the way we actually quickly moved from a legislature that meets in person at the Capitol to a legislature that meets remotely. Frankly, it's amazing we did anything, because our work really depends on those hallway conversations. I mean, we can agree on 3 bills by the time we get to the end of the hallway at the Capitol. And when you don't have that and you have to schedule a Zoom meeting or a phone call or what have you, and it's one-on-one instead of a couple people sitting down, it's really difficult. We didn't see a lot of other kind of bills go through. We came together around the pandemic, and we worked in a really bipartisan fashion. So I think that's a positive. We were all in this together. We really were at the legislature, and we took it quite seriously. And we had to quickly move some money out the door, and we did that to the tune of about $500 million. We also were quick to respond. The state of Minnesota is involved in people's lives in so many ways. And so we had to release some restrictions and do some things like delay deadlines for permits and licenses. One of the things I think that's positive that will outlast this pandemic is some of the laws and rules that we loosened up around telework and telemedicine, allowing insurance companies, or actually mandating insurance companies to reimburse for telemedicine, and including mental health in that mix. Making more people look at telework. I think there'll be more people working from home after this than we have in the past. And then allowing more public meetings to take place like this. I think once we can meet face to face, there'll still be times, especially us in greater Minnesota, it's great for us to be able to connect with the Twin Cities remotely like this. And so I think we'll see some positives coming. But then beyond the pandemic and the COVID legislation, we did some other good things too. We passed an insulin bill. We had some election security measures that we put into place. We did some broadband funding. And so we got some of those things across the line. A lot of our other bills, most of my bills I was working on got lost because we stopped the committee process that we were in the midst of. And my claim to fame is in the last half hour before sine die, I had one of my bills make it through. It was a small bill for Itasca County and Harris Township. And I dogged that thing all the way to the end, and by golly, I got it through. So we took that, we took every victory where we could in this very unusual circumstance.
Now, it sounded like Representative Layman that there is going to be a special session, and one thing that may be addressed there is the bonding bill, the capital projects bill that did not make it through in the final hours. What do you think the special session would look like if it does happen?
Yeah, well, I'd say I'm about 90% positive we will have a special session. It has to be called by the governor, though we can't call it. It's up to him. And we think it's going to happen probably around the time that his peacetime emergency powers expire. They expire every 30 days. I think Governor Walz wants to continue those powers. And if he wants to do that, he needs to call us back into session because he can only do it while the legislature's in session. So we're thinking that might happen around June 12th. That's a date you're going to hear. Most of us want a bonding bill. And I think that we are quite a ways down the road with that because the governor has put out his bonding bill, and the House has put out their bonding bill, and the Senate has put out their bonding bill. And so that's a lot of progress. There's quite a bit of difference in the size. The governor is about 2 million. The House is about 2.5 million, and the Senate was a little less than I'm talking millions, billions. So 2.5 billion from the House, 2 billion from the governor, a little less than $1 billion from the Senate. So now everybody's got something on paper. My expectation is that people will be talking. They're not going to stop talking. and so that by the time we do get to a special session, we'll be ready to really move on a bonding bill.
All right. Well, Representative Sandy Layman, a Republican from Cohassett, thanks so much for your time today, and good luck with that special session.
Thank you so much. Pleasure being with you.